The first time I saw Princess Aria Len, heir to the Thalorian Star Dominion, I was standing in the most crowded passenger bay I'd ever been crammed into, clutching my duffel bag and trying not to think about how desperately I needed a seat. The stellar ferry Aurora Drift was en route to the diplomatic summit on Orion 6, a neutral trade moon whose only claim to fame was that it had once produced 10 different types of citrus. Now it produced treaties and anxiety. I, Jonah Reed, was neither diplomat nor dignitary. I was a junior engineer hired last minute to maintain a critical translation array. My entire purpose was to keep the machine humming so ambassadors didn't accidentally declare war because someone misheard "good evening" as "prepare to be vaporized." Not glamorous but important. And despite my careful planning, I'd boarded so late that every seat in the bay was full. I scanned for anything. An empty corner, a fold-down bench, a place where I could wedge myself for the 8-hour flight. Passengers of at least 6 species jostled one another. Towering Keltari with crystalline spines, tiny but territorial Vesh, 2 humans arguing about armrest rights. I spotted a seat near the rear, half open but nearly blocked by a trio of armored guards. Then I felt a hand. No, not a hand, more like a cool, silk-smooth glove encircle my wrist. "You will sit with me," a clear, melodic voice said, as if the matter had already been decided. I turned, startled, and found myself staring into luminous violet eyes. Her features were unmistakable. Pale silver skin, hair like shimmering nebula strands, and a crest-shaped mark above her left brow that nearly every galactic news outlet had splashed across their front pages recently. Princess Aria Len of Thaloria. My brain short-circuited. You're high, princess, you don't need to. But she was already guiding me. No, pulling me, with a grip that looked delicate but felt immovable. Her guards parted instantly. The crowd parted too, murmuring as they recognized her. I was deposited into a plush reclining seat next to hers, the kind reserved only for high-status passengers or people who had never heard the word economy. "You looked lost," she said, her tone matter-of-fact, as if abducting random humans was standard diplomatic procedure. "And you were hesitating. Hesitation is inefficient. That's one way to put it." Blinked. "Why me?" Her violet eyes studied me with unnerving intensity. "Because you needed a place to sit." It was somehow both the simplest and most perplexing answer imaginable. When the ferry lifted off, Aria turned toward the panoramic viewport. Stars streaked into white lines as we reached slipstream velocity. Her expression, though serene, carried a hint of tension, barely detectable, like a vibration only felt when standing very still. I'd read she was traveling to Orion 6 to negotiate alone, without her usual counsel. Controversial move. Her gaze flicked back to me. "You're staring." "Sorry. Just making sure I'm not hallucinating." Humans hallucinate often. Not this convincingly. That earned a faint, amused exhale. Thalorians didn't exactly laugh. They rippled their internal bioluminescence instead. Her neck shimmered with soft lavender pulses. I didn't think anyone had ever laughed because of something I said to royalty. The middle. Intentions and interference. 2 hours into the flight, we were deep into a conversation I hadn't expected to have in my lifetime. It turned out Thalorians found human humor bewildering but intriguing, and Aria seemed fascinated by the concept of improvisational comedy. I tried to explain it, she tried to analyze it, and somehow the topic drifted to why she was heading to Orion 6 without her advisors. "The Dominion expects conflict," she said quietly. "But I do not. The summit could define the next century of our alliances. If I bring those who wish to posture, peace becomes more difficult. That's a heavy responsibility to carry alone." Aria considered that. Perhaps that's why I instinctively took your wrist earlier. You seemed grounded. Calm. I nearly choked. No one has ever accused me of being calm. I nearly passed out from anxiety the moment I boarded. Yet you proceeded anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. I'd never expected an alien princess to out-inspire every motivational poster in human history, but here we were. Our conversation halted abruptly when her guards stiffened. A tremor coursed through the deck. Then another, sharper this time. The cabin lights flickered. What was that? Yes. Impact, one of her guards growled. Hull disturbance on the port side. The intercom crackled. The pilot's strained voice filled the bay. Attention passengers. Unidentified object has made contact with the exterior hull. Please remain seated. A violent jolt cut him off. Several passengers screamed. The ship tilted, gravity lurching sideways for a moment before stabilizers compensated. Arya was already on her feet. This is not an accident. The guards surrounded her. I stood too, though I had no idea what I thought I could contribute. One guard pressed a communicator to his ear crest. Princess, sensors detect a boarding latch. Unauthorized. A chill crawled down my spine. Someone's trying to break in. Not someone, Arya said grimly. The Rylax marauders. They've targeted my delegation before. The Rylax were Galactic mercenaries infamous for political kidnappings. If they captured her, the fragile negotiations on Orion 6 would collapse. I swallowed. What do we do? You, she said calmly, will stay close to me. A panel near the rear of the bay blew inward with explosive force. Smoke billowed. Silhouettes appeared. Broad, armored figures with jagged breathing masks. Chaos erupted. Passengers screamed and scrambled. Arya's guards engaged instantly, electric blades crackling. Arya grabbed my wrist again. This way. We ducked behind a structural pillar as blaster fire lit the bay. One of the Rylax spotted us and charged. Arya activated a personal energy shield that flared bright blue as it deflected a bolt aimed directly at my chest. You're protecting me, I shouted over the noise. She met my gaze, unwavering. I chose your seat. I will not let harm come to you. Her statement hit me harder than any shockwave. Her guards fought fiercely but were outnumbered. One shouted, "Princess! The escape corridor now." She pulled me into a sprint. The Rylax gave chase. We barreled down a narrow maintenance hall, alarms blaring overhead. I recognized the corridor layout. This section led to the translation array chamber. The Rylax can't reach the array, I said breathlessly. If they disable it, communication during the summit will be impossible. Then we must hold them off. She said it like a simple fact. We reached the chamber and sealed the door. My hands shook as I activated the manual overrides. The hum of the array filled the room. How long until reinforcements arrive? Yes. The pilot has already alerted system security, Arya said. But they will not reach us in time. The door shuddered. The Rylax were trying to break through. I scanned the control panel. If I overload the side emitters, the surge could knock them back. Do it. I worked faster than I ever had in my life. Sparks flew as I rerouted conduits. The door cracked open, and the moment the first Rylax forced his way in, I hit the switch. A wave of energy blasted outward, hurling them back into the hall like ragdolls. Smoke drifted. Silence followed. Arya exhaled, relief shimmering in her bioluminescence. Jonah Reed. You may have just saved a war from starting. I felt lightheaded. Just doing my job. She smiled, truly smiled. And doing it with remarkable courage. The ending. Chosen paths. By the time security forces arrived and the Rylax were detained, the Aurora Drift had stabilized and resumed its course. Passengers were safe. Arya and I were escorted back to the diplomatic seating section, but her hand remained lightly on my wrist until we Saturday. "I never properly thanked you," she said as we approached Orion's excess orbit. "You don't need to. You saved me first." "Perhaps," she said, "we saved each other." A soft chime signaled docking clearance. She turned to me, expression surprisingly earnest. "When we reach the summit, I will need an engineer I can trust. Someone who sees problems clearly, acts decisively, and does not let fear rule him." Would you serve as my technical advisor?" My jaw dropped. "Me? I, Princess, I'm just—" "You are exactly who you need to be," she said simply. "I chose your seat. Now I choose this. I didn't need to hesitate this time. Then I'm with you." She nodded, satisfied, and only then did she release my wrist, gently, like setting down something precious. As we disembarked onto the gleaming landing platforms of Orion 6, I realized my life had changed irrevocably. I'd boarded the ferry as a junior engineer searching for a place to sit. I stepped off it as the chosen companion of an alien princess, toward a future neither of us had expected, but both were ready to face.